What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe, and thank you all for being here. It is the 19th day of February, and here we are sitting at about 66.3 thousand dollars, roughly 10 hours, 40 minutes left in the day. Hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. We are very confident. I say we. Maybe some of you out there. I was very confident up here that we would move back down and potentially see a lower low. That's kind of the going expectation at the moment. But again, there's a scenario that we've painted where this could be some type of bullish bat pattern, a harmonic pattern where we do get a higher low here. And that's possible. That higher low, if it is a bullish bat, more or less would come in right around this 886, around 61.3K, maybe a little bit higher than that, but something like right around there is what I would think. If we don't hold 61.3K as support, there's a statistical probability that we do go somewhere around 53.4 to 57K itself, something in this area. There's also a chance, even though this is the target area right here, there's still a chance that you could see some type of fake out. It's like a slightly lower low. It doesn't actually make it to this target, and then we recover back up. If we do something like this where you get a slightly lower low, you find support somewhere in the void here, not at this line or not at this line, but somewhere in between. We recover, and then we move back above the golden ratio. At this point here, we can confidently say that this was the low. I'll probably be calling for this to be the low once we get above the 886 consistently, but at that point there, it's valid. If we see something like this, all I'm trying to say, then likely we're going to continue to recover. Higher lows, higher highs, stuff like that. Looking at this on the short-term stuff, the 1 hour time frame, and then zooming out from there, let's just see. I mean, it looks like we're in a downtrend, right? Lower lows, lower highs. You can see it clear as day, plain as day. A lot of volume. You know, it's interesting. You notice where all these volume spikes are happening. They're happening right here at the lows. They're happening right here at the lows. They're happening right... It's kind of interesting that all these volume spikes are happening at the lows. It's like forced selling is what it seems like, right? It's like... Oh, you know what it makes me think? I'm like painting. This probably won't be funny to any of you. It was like a story, a quick little story that my mind printed, but it'll take longer to explain. All I'm thinking about is back here when they weren't trying at all. Back here when the price action was so obviously mechanical. We had BART City. You guys remember all the BART patterns we saw? We saw like BART's up, BART's down, all around, like for like a solid month and a half. It was just the most obvious manipulated price action that you've ever seen. BARTs in themselves are a symbol of manipulation in the markets, right? It's like you sell off, and then there's no pressure, and then you buy back with the same volume, you make the same move up. That's clearly manipulation, right? That's one entity getting out, that same entity getting in, or another entity with just as much buying pressure getting in. It's manipulation at its finest. It's so easy to see. It made me laugh looking at this, because it's like, okay, they've heard our review. Customer service heard our review. They've gotten back to us, and they've come to us with a new product. That's I don't know why, but that just it made me laugh. Just this thought of like, okay, hey, they're trying. It almost looks more organic, but the volume is giving, and just the consistency here of the dynamic, it's giving it away. And look at how well spaced these are. These are what time of day is this? That's at the 19th hour of the day. That's at the 15th hour of the day. That's at the 15th hour of the day. That's at the 19th hour of the day. It's all in the same window. They're trying harder, but they're not trying that hard still. If it's not clear as to what's funny, it's that it's still clearly, obviously orchestrated. This is clearly a organized effort in selling. That doesn't mean that it's quote unquote, I mean, it is manipulation, but that doesn't mean that this bear market's only happening because of manipulation. I'm not saying that. There's manipulation that happens in the bull market too, and we've addressed that when it happens, and we've been happy about it. We can address it when it happens in a bear market and laugh about it, right? It's just funny because it's not as Barty, but it's still so obviously like coordinated. Anyways, we're trying harder. Look, it's like Binance heard the whole space say, they're manipulating the markets. We have evidence right here. So now this is them trying harder. I have to say, it looks a little more organic, but it still looks very mechanical. It looks very, very mechanical. There's clearly some organized selling pressure going on here. And the RSI, every time we hit these levels up here, we come back down. We're not at the oversold zone yet. I would assume that we do go lower. I mean, your guess is probably the same guess as mine. From here, what are we going to do? Oh, we're going to see a lower low. Around what time frame are we going to see a lower low? Well, it's the 13th hour, probably around the 15th hour to the 19th hour, probably around then. And I would assume we drop with some volume, so we'll drop fast, just like all of these, right? We'll drop fast, and then we'll likely recover fast too. So all in this same time frame, all in this day here, between now and the end of this day, the 19th day of February, we will simultaneously go down to about 65K and come back up here to close. Like that's probably what's going to happen. Or maybe we get our freak on right now. Maybe it's starting. The big move down. We'll see, but probably not. I mean, maybe. RSI, stochastic, MACD, obviously, they're all bearish. Obviously. See, and this is what I mean by the pace could pick up a little bit. I don't know how everybody thinks about the RSI, but I'm just going to paint a light on how I think of it a little bit. This is not solely how I think of it, but in moments like this is how I think of it. The price action right now is not moving too fast, right? Pretty slow, very slow here, just slow bleed down. Whenever you get oversold here, not the deepest part, I'm not measuring the deepest part, but just when you start getting oversold here, notice how you're moving very slowly down, right? And then where do you get oversold? Right here. Right there. Right there. That's where you get oversold. When you get oversold, what happens? The pace picks up. Right? Right? You're moving slowly here. You get oversold right here. Right? Like right there. What happens? The pace picks up to the downside. Right? You were moving down beforehand, but the pace picks up. So here we are moving down on our 4-hour time frame. And again, this is why it's completely feasible that we could go to a slightly lower low and continue to do this stuff for a while, right? We've been doing it. We can keep doing it. But if this RSI gets oversold, the pace might pick up. And that comes directly at a time when we'd be taking out a lower low, which will give and cause more incentive for selling pressure, more volume to come in, more reason for the pace to pick up to the downside. Beyond that, the stochastics are ass, and so is the MACD. Well, there's a little bit of bullish divergence there. It's still bad, though. It's still not good. No. I mean, really, we're dealing with the aftermath of this false cross, and I just don't think that we've plummeted yet. When's the last time we had a false cross on the MACD? Close right here, and that wasn't good, but not quite the same. Let's see. Can we get a false cross? Here we go. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that intense, and we actually ended up moving up afterwards. So not a good example, but that's okay. I think that we will move down, and I think that we're going to plummet here pretty soon. What is it, Thursday? Thursday the 19th. I mean, I would assume by the end of the month, yes, we are probably going to move down here. Monthly time frame. What are we looking like on the monthly time frame here real quick? Hold on. Man, Bitcoin looks ugly on the monthly time frame, you guys. 5 months in a row. You guys know we haven't had... Bitcoin hadn't had 3 months in a row. Sorry, more than 3 red months in a row. It hadn't had that since 2018. We have not seen more than 3 red months in a row since 2018. This is our first stint where we've seen that. Now we've got 5 red months in a row. So just so we're on the same page, we're not going to... We're at a time... Think about it like this. I'm trying to... My perspective, and I'm going to use like an analogy or a comparison here. My perspective on how I try to look at the markets is I'm on the front... We're on the page right now, the current page, the present moment, right? That's where we are here. I'm trying to think about what the next page is going to look like, right? Like, okay, piecing together what we're doing in this storyline right now, I can see that we're at the end of this chapter. we're in the chapter 1 of the bear market or chapter 2 of the bear market. We're at the end of the chapter. How's this chapter going to wrap up? And in my thoughts, this February chapter, however we have to phrase it, it's not been good. It's been kind of pretty bad. It's actually one of the bigger red months that we've seen since the bear market began. But there was a little bit of optimism here. You guys remember here, like for 3 or 4 days at the top here, everybody's saying, we're going to V-shaped recover. We're going back to 80K. We're going to move up so fast. And I was telling you, hey, don't get excited. That speed was only happening because of irrational price action, irrational behavior. We're probably going to move very slowly. For example, like what we did here. Right? But everybody was super excited back here. What's going to happen whenever we're below this low? Because everybody was super excited here, which is not really that exciting. What's going to happen when we're below this low? Everybody's going to be panicking. What's going to happen if between now and the 19th and the end of the month, we're moving down, we're at a lower low, and the monthly time frame just looks even worse than it does now? People are going to be panicking. But again, the thought here, this is where it comes full circle. 5 red months in a row. We haven't seen more than 3 since 2018. Even last bear market, even this bull market, we have not seen more than 3 red months in a row since 2018. So it's been a very long time since we've seen these red months. Call me crazy. I think Bitcoin is going to have a green month soon. Probably in March. And it won't be that green. But again, we've seen more red in a row consistently than we ever have before. We're at high levels of fear. So what's the next chapter look like? It looks like this. We're starting the month of March at a lower point than we are now, below this low that people were counting on. We're going to start off March in a very depraved and desperate and kind of sad environment. Nobody's going to expect that it's going to go up. Everybody's going to be calling for the price to go to 50K or lower. No one's going to be expecting for it to go up, whenever in reality what we're going to say down there is the same thing that we said down here, is the same thing that we said up here. We're just going to move sideways. It's just all the same stuff. We're going to do that for months. And I say sideways. From here, we absolutely could go to 80K. We might even go slightly above 80K. Again, I've seen some things that have shown me that we don't need to stay below 80K for this to be a certified bear market. So I wouldn't get too excited if we do get above 80K. But I highly doubt we're going to get above these levels here, above like 85, 86K. I personally wouldn't be surprised if we didn't even interact with this high at or this low at 80K. I wouldn't even be surprised. But more or less, we're going to be stuck between a low that's probably just below this low and a high that's probably just below this line or somewhere in this zone here. We're going to be stuck in this range until April, May. And it will be exciting at times, and it will be depressing at times. And it's in those moments where the money's meant to be made, okay? Should have been obvious here whenever everybody was excited. You were hearing for these 3 or 4 days here, okay, from OGs and from people who are new. You were hearing for like 3 or 4 days here, at the top of this move, relatively speaking, right, that the bear market might be over. that this might be the end of the bear market right here, right? People get emotional. That little move was enough for them to say, all right, the bear market might be over. And the bear market, by the way, hasn't even been going on for like 6 months. So some people try to justify it and say, it's been going on for 4 years. It's been going on for a year already. Yeah. Bitcoin versus gold. I get it. I hear your whole thing there. But how about this? How about no? Bitcoin has never been in a bear market. If this was all that Bitcoin had to offer, if this was the lowest price that we had to offer in this quote-unquote bear market, this was never a bear market. It was just a standard ABC correction. That was it. We're in a greater consolidation, like crab market, moving sideways, and that's it. But I don't think that's what's happening. Again, I'm getting distracted here. What I'm trying to say is, if I was trying to think about how this chapter is going to finish, it's going to finish with desperate, depraved fear, and the next chapter is going to open up with that and probably finish with hope, because we've been red for so long now. We've had 5 months red. We haven't seen that since 2018, anything like that. And the longest red that we've seen in that was 6 months. When's the last time Bitcoin saw more than 6 red months in a row? Let's imagine I was wrong. Let's imagine March closes red, which I don't think happens, because then that would mean we get probably below 50K in March. I don't think that's going to happen. I think below 50K is going to come in like July, August, September, somewhere in that time frame. Bitcoin's never seen more than 6 red months in a row, guys. And I mean, we look here, we go back to its earliest days, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 red months in a row, like we have now. 4 red months in a row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That was the largest stint. So again, just this thought here, people are fearful. People are shrouded in fear. People are scared that the stock market's about to collapse, all these things are going to happen, crypto's dead, blah blah blah. Like we haven't been this irrational to the downside in such a long time. But you look at this on a monthly time frame, we're at prior cycle highs. We're at this area of support back here on a monthly closing resistance, monthly closing support right here. No lie, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we wicked below this line and then we close right back up at 60K. Wherever we go below 60K, I bet by the end of the month we close back above it. And then we start off March coming down a little bit. We get the higher low, and then March finishes green. We probably close March like above 75K or something like that. Because again, Bitcoin has only once in its history seen more than 5 red months in a row. Only once. Only one time. And that was in the doldrums of the bear market. I don't think that we're in that now. Or that the finale, maybe not the doldrums, but the finale phase, right? We're not at the finale phase now. No way. This is going to be that part, right? Here's the beginning of the bear market, very intense. Here's the beginning of the bear market, very intense, right? Here's the beginning of the bear market, very intense. But then we had about a quarter of a year where you didn't see, actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 months where you didn't see a lower low. Here we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 months before we break lower. 9 months, right? Here we had 1, 2, 3 months in a row before we broke lower, quarter of a year. So while we're here in our most fearful moment, at a point where Bitcoin typically doesn't see more red months closing in a row, doesn't mean it can't. We could see 11 red months close in a row. Doesn't mean that we can't. But statistically speaking, most probably, and then based off of the psychology that's going on in the markets right now, I really wouldn't be surprised if this was that moment where for 3 to 6 months, or maybe not that long, but like 3 months, we kind of consolidate and we don't even see lower prices than whatever low we're about to form. Daily RSI. Sorry, hold on, let me say that again. Daily RSI. I have a hard time saying RSI. Daily RSI looks like it wants to come down. Stochastics are the point to find resistance. They actually kind of look good here, to be fair, but I'm not impressed. And the MACD sucks as well. So, yep, lower. I keep going back and forth and thinking that this could be a higher low, and it could be. There's a chance, maybe like a 20% chance or a 10% chance or something like that, somewhere in between. But I would say there's like a 60% chance we probably go lower, and maybe even higher than that, right? Maybe even like 70-80% chance. I don't know, and then like a 5% chance that we go up from here. That's my expectation. Anyways, hit that like button, subscribe. Thank you all for being here. I'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye bye.